5 people who survived being buried alive.
Number 1.
2 women were walking down a Compton, California bike trail in November 2015 when they suddenly heard the muffled sounds of a baby crying. Authorities were called and they found a 2-day-old baby girl buried under a pile of asphalt. The baby was wrapped in a hospital blanket, basically showing she had been born in a medical facility, and detectives quickly determined the identity of the mother. She was eventually hauled into jail where she is facing charges for attempted murder and child endangerment.
Number 2.
Philomèle Jontré, a 24-year-old French woman, was stricken with cholera in 1867. Just a few days later, early in the morning, she was pronounced dead, and very quickly, about an hour after being prayed over by the priest, she was placed in her coffin. By the end of the day, her family had her buried in the local cemetery. After filling the grave with dirt, the gravediggers were about to leave when they heard a knocking sound from the freshly filled grave. They frantically dug her from the hole and called for a physician. The doctor found that indeed she was alive. However, the deadly disease finally took her life the next day. This time, everyone involved made sure she was truly dead.
Number 3.
A woman visiting her husband's tomb witnessed a truly disturbing sight. She could see a man trying to pull himself from his grave. His hands and head were already free from the tomb, and he was attempting to pull his body from the ground. Rescue workers arrived and helped the man from the grave. Paramedics took him to the hospital where he was treated for his injuries from a severe beating, and authorities discovered he was actually a city employee. To this day, no one knows exactly how or why he was buried alive, and according to the man's nephew, he suffered severe psychiatric problems from the ordeal.
Number 4.
Lu Xian was a pregnant woman who lived in the Chinese agricultural community of Dongdong. All of her family and friends believed she was only 4 months pregnant, so when she went into early labor at home, they fully expected the child would not survive. Her mother helped her deliver an unresponsive baby girl, and everyone assumed she was dead. Xian's husband, realizing his wife needed medical care, called for an ambulance. She was rushed to the nearest hospital as her mother buried the baby in the yard. While being cared for at the hospital, doctors determined she had actually been 6 months pregnant. They also suggested that the child might have been saved. Xian's husband rushed home, dug up the baby, and found the child alive.
Number 5.
Mike Meany successfully had himself buried alive as a stunt without dying or going insane. When Mike Meany's friends buried him, they installed a hole in the coffin to prevent carbon dioxide poisoning. However, his friends used the hole to send him food and water. He was able to stay buried for 61 days and actually lived to see the stunt topped on multiple occasions. It should also be noted that the Guinness Book of World Records no longer acknowledges this feat due to the fact that it is incredibly life-threatening.